Hello everyone, welcome to Talented Developer. In this tutorial we are going to create webhook from the scratch. So this video can be long, please try to understand. I'm going to show some demo to you like a PPT presentation, then I'm going to create the web application. So I will give like normal glimpse what we are going to achieve. In this whole video we are going to create two application. First application will be like our main application that we are going to give the name as a student data application. After that what will be happen, we are going to create another application, the school application. So we are going to create only one school that we can give the name like Ronaldo School. So first of all we have to create our main application. We can give the name as student data. It is going to hold record of all students from various school. A school must has to be registered in our application. So whenever any student will be added, we are going to send that data to them using the webhook. This is the whole purpose we are going to achieve in this video. So some step we have to follow. So first of all we have to create a server from the scratch for student data. Then we are going to create some API like how a school can register, how a school can provide some API name for the webhook event, and after that a student must has to be registered. A student data application we are going to create three API. First API for register the school. So what will be happen, our application will be run in that other school must has to be sign up. You can see this example, Ronaldo School and Kohli School. So there is two different school, they must have their specific web application. They will try to register in our portal. After that what will be happen, so in second API before going to implement we have to make sure like second application must has to be running, that is called Ronaldo public school application we are going to create here. After that we are going to give some API. So that API we have to register in our main application. So why we have to register? So whenever any student will be sign up in our student data application or they will delete their data, we are going to send the notification or we are going to send the whole response to their specific school. So using the webhook approach. And third step is like register the student. So how it will work, like whenever any student will register in our application we have to check like okay that school is there in our database or not. If it's there, if they have their endpoint, we are going to send that student information to them. This is called webhook. So before going to coding you have to understand REST API and webhook both are different. In REST API whenever you requested you will get the data, but in webhook you can set some event. Like in this scenario you can set an event like whenever a student will be added or like sign up, you can send the data to their specific API, that is called webhook. So let's dive in the code. So for coding I'm going to use Node.js as our main server language. If you are from Java field or Python field, please do not worry. I'm just going to show how to implement API and webhook. You can easily implement in Spring Boot or other language also. For database I'm going to use Mongo. You can use SQL also, and definitely we need Postman because I don't have any UI. We need Postman to check our REST API. So our first step is we have to create a server, correct? So let's create. I'm going to create in Node.js. I have given my project name as student underscore data, and you can see currently everything is empty. So in Node.js we have to create package.json. So it will behave similar like a Maven in Java or pom.xml we used to do. And after that we have to create one app.js. So that will be our server. We can give the name app. Can see right, we have created package.json and app.js. So this is the following code we can use to create our server. I have already created a video earlier, you can please check in the description. You can see right, first of all I am importing Express.js. So Express.js is a framework. After that I have defined my port number as a 3100, and this is our listening port. So whenever we listen we are going to print a message like server is running at this port number, and this is our first get API. So whenever we'll call localhost and port number 3100 we will get the message like welcome, correct? So we can change the message. When we are going to run it, right, we will get error because we have not installed this Express.js. So how we can do, you have to open your terminal and just type npm i and express. So it will take some time, and after that you will see in left corner node module, one folder is created. So you can see here, right, node module is there, and in that package.json you can see Express.js has been added, right? So let's run this one. You can select this file. I am using WebStorm and click on run. You can see right, server is running. So now we have to open our Postman to check this message. So copy this URL, go to your Postman, and our method is get method. So just click on send. Now you can see right, welcome to student data application. That means our server is running perfectly. So we have completed our step 1. So in second step we have to create a API to register all the schools. So what we can do, just we have to again come and copy and try to paste it here, okay, and change the name here as a register school, and we have to change method as a post. Okay, so I'm going to expect some value in the body for this API. So let's go copy, paste it, and copy this URL and try to run in debug mode. So at least we can see whether we are getting input request or not. Okay, change this as a post, go to the body, click raw, and here give JSON, give the key as a school name, give school name as a Ronaldo School, right? So that means we are going to register this school in a student data application. So now click on send. So you can see, right, debug is working fine. If you go to the request, you are unable to see any body. So what we have to do, we have to install one more node module that is called body parser. So what we can do, just come here and try to install it. So you can see here body parser has been installed. Now we have to import it here. You can see we have imported. Now what we have to do, we have to add into our app, because this app is using Express.js, correct? So let's copy paste. Now again rerun your project, click on send, go to your request, and you can see, right, in this body we are getting a school name as Ronaldo School. That means now our Postman is working fine. We are able to see body data into request also. So now what, we have to save this value in our database, right? So for that I am going to use Mongo. You can use SQL also. So similarly we have to install first of all Mongo. So you can see, right, I have installed the Mongos. Now what, we have to define into our project similarly like how we have imported body parser. Similarly I have imported Mongoose. Now what, we have to create our database. So first of all you have to make sure like Mongo has been installed in your PC. After that you can see I am using one application that is called Robo3T. It is just like a viewer how we have used for SQL. So similarly I'm using for Mongo. So how you can create your database, just right click, click on create database, right? So you can see, right, we have to use localhost colon 27017, right? This is like default port, or otherwise you can just define your database here and it will automatically create during runtime. Constant db URL equal to what? It will be like MongoDB. And what was our port number? 27017 localhost, right? Correct. And we have to enter our database name. So we can give here a student data, correct? So whenever we are going to run, it has to be created in this new connection place. So now you can see we have added our DB URL. Now we have to pass this DB URL in our Mongoose. So how we can do, type mongoose dot connect and DB URL. Okay, so using this way we can create our connection. Now we have to make sure like, okay, Mongo is working fine or not. So how you can do, similarly if you scroll down you can see here app.listen I have added, right? So what I will do, similarly I am going to copy paste Mongo's connection. So here you can see I have given console message like default connection open, and this is the DB URL. So whenever we are able to see this message, that means our Mongo connection is working fine. So let's run one more time. You can see, right, Mongo's default connection message is showing. So let's go and try to refresh. So you can see there is nothing has been created. Why? Because we have not inserted any data in any table. So let's do that one. So in register school we are going to get the details like which school we are going to add it, right? So what we can do, use let data equal to request dot body, right? So this body will be holder request. Now we have to create one entity class like how we have created in Java. Here we are going to create a model. So what we can do, just go click new directory, give models, and we can give here name as a school model. So I have copy pasted some code. You can easily find all the code in the description. So what is I am adding currently? So just imagine like we have two column only. One is a school name, another one is called a school ID, right? Similarly in SQL you can create your entity class and you can add this column, and this is my table name that is called schools. So whatever school we are going to add, all the school details will be in this table. Let's copy this whole thing and go to the here and paste it, right? So first of all, what we have to understand, we need this school model in this class. So how we can do, we have to again use import, right? So use constant, then require what we require, double dot student data models, press control and space, you will get a school model, right? So the school model, that means it is our entity class. Now come replace this line. So we need a school name and ID. A school name we are going to get from the request. So put data equal to a school name. Please try to make sure whatever name I'm going to use here, try to pass same name here also. Now you can see ID, right? We need a school ID. So currently we don't have any data. That means we are not sure about a school ID. By default, Mongo will also have their specific unique ID, but I love to enter my own ID. So what we can do, we can do the query and we can find like how many data we have in our database. So how we can do, we have to use constant index equal to a school model dot find dot count. So actually if you are familiar with Java or Node.js, right? In Java what will be happen, all the code will be going line by line, but here it will not work like that. It is like differently work. Synchronous and asynchronous will be performed in that Node.js. So what we can do, just use await. We don't want to cross this line before getting the data. So whenever you will use await, try to make sure like this API is asynchronous. So now what will be happen? First of all, we are going to get that index value. So once we got like how many data is there, after that we are going to get that ID. So just use +1. That means whatever value we have, we are just going to add one more time. So by default it has to come as a 0, then index is 0 + 1, it has to come school ID as a 1, correct? Now we have a school schema, change the name as a school details. Okay, so this is the school details. Now we have to save in our database. So how we can do, define here let school data equal to await school details dot save, right? So this school data value will be hold all the details like whatever we save in database. So what we can do, just change here as a JSON response result colon. Okay, so let's run this one. Open your Postman, click on send. You can see, right, we got that successfully response, correct? School name is Ronaldo School and school ID is 1. Let's cross check in database, refresh it. You can see, right, this database has been created as I told you earlier. Go to the collection, this is a school. You can see one entry is there, correct? You can cross check also. So we got our school name, okay, we got our ID. So this step is also finished. Now what? We need to create some webhook events, right? So before that we have to make sure whatever school we have added, Ronaldo School also have their own application, that is running application. So what we can do, we have to create one more application. So let's create, again go new project, empty, give here Ronaldo School. So similarly whatever I have done for that first project, I need to create one package.json and app.js. So you can see, right, I have created one separate application for Ronaldo School. So this is running at port number 4100. Whenever you call localhost colon 4100, it has to show this message, right? So let's run one more time. Copy this URL, go to your Postman, type it here and click on send. Correct. So you can see, right, our Ronaldo School application is running fine. So currently we have two applications. One is school data, like where we are registering all the process. Another one is Ronaldo School, right? So what we have to do, we have to create one API will be receive the data whenever any student will be added in our main application in a student data. So just copy paste, change get as a post, you can give name as a webhook, student added or created, whatever you want, you can enter the name. Now you can see, right, this is a post method, so all the data will be in body only, correct? So we can give here let data equal to request dot body. So try to print in the console dot log, and I want to print the name. Okay, so I'm expecting like name I will get from the main application data dot name. Okay, this name we can say like a student name, it has to be there. And now I want to change the message, like I can say like webhook data received. So whenever any user will be added in our main application, what will be happen, that application is going to send that webhook data into this application, and this application will be send a flag or notification like, okay boss, I got the data. If you want, you can save this data also. Currently I'm just going to print only. Now you can see, right, we have added a new API that is going to receive the webhook data from the main application. So our second step is like we have to add the new API as a webhook endpoint. So how we can do, just go to your main application, and this is a school model, right? So I'm going to add all the webhook as a array. You can create as a object, but for now I'm just going to create as a array only. So here I'm going to get the name as event name and endpoint URL. So what is event name? When you want to webhook response, like whenever the user is added or deleted, right? We have created this API for what? Whenever a student is added, right? So we can set event name as a new student add, and endpoint URL will be what? This will be like your second application. So it will be like, so localhost 4100 webhook a student added, correct? So let's create one more API that we can say like add webhook events. So copy this whole thing, so give the name as a add webhook event, correct? So we are going to get request in that again body itself. So now we no need index, but we have to make sure like whatever request we are going to get, that has to be valid school ID, right? So you can change here like school details, and in school details we can say await school model and find. So we have to find the data on the basis of school ID. And what is the school ID? We are going to get from the data dot school ID. So first of all, let's write this API in the post, so you'll understand much more what I want to achieve here. So copy, change as a post, go to the body, click on raw, and this is our JSON. And what will be like our API name? Add webhook event. Change this name as a. So here what we require, here first of all we want a school ID. So if you remember, what was the school ID? School ID is 1. Next is what? You can go to your code and you can see in the model we need event name and endpoint URL, correct? So this event name we cannot put randomly, right? So definitely if you are making any application like a student data, you have to create your document. In that document you have to mention your all the webhook event name, so other client can use it. For now I'm just going to put here new student add, but you have to mention somewhere so other school can know easily. So change as a new student add. And what was our endpoint URL? It was localhost 4110, correct? And after that this was the URL. So we are going to add this whole details for that particular school. So school ID 1, that means Ronaldo School. In that one we are going to set event like, okay, whenever any student will be added, try to send the response to this API. So check here, if school details is there, then need to achieve it, else put message like console.log no school details, right? I am expecting like school ID 1 will be there. We are going to call the data, and after that we are going to get the school details, and then we are going to add that webhook events in that particular school. Try to change here, find 1, otherwise you will get in that array. So what we can do is school details, and this is our webhook details, correct? This is one array, right? So we have to push it. So what we are going to push? We are going to push this whole details. Event name will be in data dot event name. Endpoint URL will be change again data. So we are going to pass three things: school ID, event name, endpoint URL, right? So first of all, on the basis of school ID, we are going to get details about school. In that school, we are expecting one array is there. In that array, we are going to push our events. So if you see here, right, there is no any column name or variable as a webhook detail. So might be we'll get an error, right? So what we can do for safety purpose, just check one extra if here equal to null, then initialize that array. So now we have added that event name. So please try to notice I am not checking this event name is already added or not. If you want, you can please check it. Now what we have to update these details for that particular school. So how we can do? We can do like school details equal to again await school model dot find one and update. Here we have to pass like first parameter will be like our where condition. So copy this line and school data, either you can put it this one or safety purpose try to use like this one. Second one is student details. If you want to be return original true, you can put here return true or false. So you can see I'm getting here error because I've used constant, so we have to use here let. So this will hold the school details. Now we no need this one. Change school details in the response. So what actually I am doing here, I am trying to get the data school ID in the request. On the basis of school ID, I am going to fetch the school. Then I am setting that events in that school. After that, I am updating that particular school. Okay, so that's why you can see here I've added that event name. So event name and endpoint we are going to get from the request. So let's rerun. You can see this response. We have a school name, a school ID, and this is the webhook details. So in this webhook, we have set event name as a new student add. That means whenever new student will be added, we want all the response to this particular API. And this particular API is running into second application. That's why we have mentioned here webhook / student added. Whenever any student will be added, we are going to get response automatically, right? It will show in this console. So this part also we have finished it. Now what? We are at last step. In this last step, we have to register this student, right? So let's go and try to add that student. So before that, I want to create one Postman request. So at least we have to make sure what is the request we are going to get in that API. Change the name as a add a student. So here I'm expecting we have to get that student details. So in this request, what are the things we require? So first of all, we need a school ID, right? We cannot send any student details to any other school, right? So it is a good way, like if you have any school ID in that request, just we have to use a school ID. In our case, our school ID is 1. We need name. So give name as a Mike. And we can also get that age, like 6 years. Just randomly, whatever you want, you can enter it. So this is the things we are going to get in the request. So according to that, we are going to create our API. So please try to notice, like, so whatever I'm doing in our main application only. So just copy this whole thing. This is our last API. So here we are going to get details in this body only, right? So let's change this API name as add a student. And after that, what we have to do, we have to again check like school is available or not. So you can copy paste easily this line. If school details will be there, then we are going to proceed. Otherwise, don't proceed. Okay, you can change your message if you want. So now what? We have to create one more schema for the student. A schema, that means I'm talking about entity, right? So we have already created for a school model. Similarly, we have to create for a student also. So go to the here and create a student model. So I have copy pasted. So you can see your name, age, and a school ID. This is the things we are also going to get in the request. And after that, I want to save in separate table that is called students, right? So what we can do, we got school ID here, right? we have done the query, we got a school details also, right? So now we have to change as a school schema, correct? So before that, whatever we have done for a school model, we have to again import a student model also. So let's go to the here change as a student details, and what are the value we require? Name, age, school ID, correct? So change as a data dot name, data dot age, data dot school ID, right? So we have initialized our entity, and after that we have to similarly whatever we have done for school details we have to do for student details. Okay, so change as a student data, right? So till line number 69, right, we have done like we have fetched the school details. After that we have set all the name, age, school ID from that request value, and here we are going to save in our database, right? So once line number 69 crossed, that means this student has been added in our database. That means we have to send a webhook events to that school also. So for now we are going to send a school ID as a 1, school ID 1, that means Ronaldo Public School, right? So whenever any student will be added, that means for this particular event I want to send whole response to this particular API. This application is already running at this port number 4100. So we already have endpoint URL in webhook details, that means we already have all the details. So this will hold that event. So what we can do, go to the here and define one variable, let webhook URL. By default it will be empty only. I'm going to run a for loop because if you remember it is a array. So by default we know it is on 0 index, but it's a good idea if you are going to iterate that array. So create like for loop, let I equal to 0, I is less than school details, then webhook details dot length I plus plus. So we are going to put here name as a details of I, and which one will be hold our webhook name, event name, correct? Just come put here double equals to what is the event name we have passed, right? New student add. We found like any webhook name is there for this a specific event, that means we have our webhook URL. So try to do like webhook URL is equal to copy paste. So once we got webhook URL, that means we have to send that response to that particular school. So for safety purpose, try to check here not equal to null and length is equal to 0. So once we have, that means let's send webhook response. So now we have webhook URL. Now we need to call that API. So how you can do? So in Node.js we can use Axios node module, or in Java we have used REST template. You can check in your technology how to do like that one. Okay, I'm installing Axios package. You can see that I've installed. This is we are using mainly to send that REST API request. So what we can do, use list result equal to await Axios. So try to make sure like Axios must has to be import here, and this is the method name. See, this is a post method, right? So how Ronaldo Public School will be know like, okay, this is post method or get method. So definitely it's student data responsibility to keep the all details, like okay, this will be the event name for adding a student. Please try to create for get or post. Similarly for delete a student, they can define 100 webhook events. So if they have different events, they can send different response. Axios.post. So here first parameter will be like API name. Next one is our data. Which one will contain our data? This will be our response. So I want to send whole response directly. And if you want, you can add your header like content type application JSON. Now change message here. Added successfully and student data name. So try to understand this one. This is like a little bit complicated for you if you thought like, but it's pretty easy. So at line number 63, I'm just doing the query on the base of a student ID. Okay. After that, I am setting all that student details. Then I am saving in our database. So till this point, I have just done like inserting that user into a student table. After that, we are checking like, okay, for that school, is there any webhook event is set or not, right? So that's why I'm running a for loop to cross check like, okay, if any webhook events is there for new student add, that means we have to send the whole response to this application, correct? So here I am just going to send that response to this API. Okay, now what, just put here console.log webhook data send. Okay, just for printing purpose. So if you run this application at line number 92, definitely we are going to get error because this student data we have defined inside this if condition, right? So what you can do, just try to cut it and declare on the top and give like a empty. Now what, paste it here, that is fine. And line number 78, oh wow, interesting. See here what I have done wrong. Another thing I have also done wrong. So it has to be not equal to null. Now if I will run, what will be happen? Here we are going to get webhook URL, but if you see here webhook details dot event name. So event name is here what, new student add. So we have to change as a endpoint URL. So 3 mistake I have done. Maybe you have also noticed earlier, but I want to make this fix at the end of this API. So that's why I am explaining right now. So let's run in debug mode. Put breakpoint here, here also, and here also. I'm not sure like whether we are going to get any error or not. Now let's run. You can see webhook URL is correct. Student data, we got it. Okay, we'll also cross check in our table. After that, now we are going to send response. Now we have to send this whole response in this application, correct? So you can see here this status code is 200, and what we are seeing message is here. You can see data, that means webhook data received. So if you remember, this is our second application, correct? You can see here webhook data received, we have sent it. So that means this webhook is working perfectly. See this log, name is Mike, correct? You understand what is happening just right now? We have added a student. After that, we are sending this whole response to that application. That is called webhook. So whenever event will be occur, it is going to send the response to that particular endpoint URL. Now you can see result is what, added successfully Mike. Let's cross check here, refresh it. You can see this is one student Mike. So you just understand what I have done. I have just added a student. In this add a student API, I am checking like for that school is added any webhook for that particular events or not. So they have already given their URL. You can also see in table, right? And whenever that event will be occur, they are going to send whole response to this API. You can add one more event, like event name is like student remove. You can create a new API in this second application like student remove. So what will be happen, whenever any student will be deleted their account, it will automatically send response like how we just got in a student added. So let's cross check one more time. Try to put here breakpoint, okay, in this second application that is called Ronaldo School. So now what will be happen, whenever any student will be added, you will see how response is coming here. Now let's run first application. I don't want to run in debug mode. Now let's change this student name as a Mike121. Okay, run it. So you can see this student, right, is added in database. If you refresh it, you will see, right? But what is happening, line number 80, right, we are sending the whole response. That's why it is showing here. So go to the request and you can see in this body I'm going to get whole response, right? So I hope you understand how this webhook is actually working at all. So whenever you are going to add any student details in main application is running at port number 3100, and on that time whenever a student added successfully, they are going to send whole response to that second application. So that's why I have added here message like webhook data received. So whenever you will run debug mode, this result will actually hold that response. So if you remember in a startup tutorial, I told like we are going to create two applications. First application is this student data, and second one is Ronaldo School. This is the port number I have given 3000. Don't think like okay, this is running at 3100, this is running as 4100. So that's why you can see right, this whole step we follow right now. We have created 3 API in student data. So first step we have achieved like how to register school in our main application. After that we have created a separate application for Ronaldo public school. Then we have created a new API like add new student. So whenever any student will be added in main application, they are going to send whole response into Ronaldo school. Correct? So you can see right, we just added Mike into main application. After that we send whole response in this Ronaldo. Same for if you have Kohli school ID will be different ID. So according to their school ID, it will go to response to their particular school. So you have to make sure check every details perfectly. Don't send Ronaldo school data to Kohli. Similarly, you can implement this whole logic into your web application. It is just for educational purpose. I hope I have cleared so many doubts. If you have any question, any concern, please add in the comments. Maybe I have missed something, I have done something mistake, please let me know.